Hi, welcome to the Cake Adjacent Podcast, a once-a-week update on all things food, family, community, gardening, whatever. We call it SideCar. If it has to do with the rituals around food and holidays, making food or taking it places, or remembering what we were eating during important times in our lives, we'll talk about it here. Hello, my friends. Can you believe that we are on the back end of August already? Is it just me, or has time lost all meaning? Ben has been away on a work trip for the last 7 days, and it feels like it's been a month. I can't even really remember what I did all week. My visits from friends from last weekend seem like they were weeks and weeks ago. Sometimes when I'm left to my own devices, I struggle a little. I get overwhelmed making sure the dogs get fed and medicated on time, making sure the cat's water fountain doesn't run dry, making sure that my car doesn't run out of gas, making sure all the doors are locked, wondering what that noise was at 2 o'clock in the morning. All of those little things that you do even when you're home with your housemate, but somehow when you're alone, it just seems like it's so much more important. Anyway, 3 things that were good this past week. Number 1. My car has been running a little rough lately, and it was giving me some anxiety because I'm going to be honest with you, people around here drive like lunatics. So if your car is not in tip-top shape, well, anyway, I brought it to the tire store, and they were so lovely and nice, and even though I ended up spending 3 hours there getting 2 new tires and new shocks and struts and an alignment, my car just felt so much better, and so did I. And I got to read almost the entire copy of a new book that Amy Rohn, Cookie Correspondent, sent me. I'm a huge fan of the Great American series of books, my favorite being the Great American Short Stories, the essays, the food writing, the nature writing, and the sports writing. I've had a hard time actually reading novels since the pandemic started, so I've been sticking to collections of essays. Anyway, it was a thoroughly relaxing time at the tire store with the Great American Food Writing of 2021. As you know, I don't go anywhere without a snack, although the seats in the waiting room were not that comfortable. The second thing was that I was able to get my act together and organize a little birthday party for my mother on Friday of this week. Hopefully it will go off without a hitch, and it will be one of next week's good things I can report on. I contacted the folks at our swanky senior living facility. I talked to the guy who manages the dining room, and he's going to arrange her birthday cake, which my mother loves. I would usually send her a Smith Island cake, and one of these days I will do a whole series on Smith Island cakes for all of the birthdays when I wasn't up visiting. This is her first birthday away from home, from her home of 50 years, and I know it's not going to be easy for her. But Kath will be there, and I will send a box of her favorite treats and a 4,000 Beagles t-shirt, and I'm not sure what else. I'm trying not to overload her with stuff, but I want her to know I'm thinking of her. Flowers, maybe. I guess the third good thing is that the pets and I survived the week. I didn't starve to death. I ate at least 1 meal a day. I kept up with the dirty dishes. I watered the garden. I did the laundry, and I backwashed the pool. I was supposed to see the doctor on Monday, but it was canceled at the last minute, so I was not able to get all of the blood work done to make sure that this daily cancer medication I take, that I hate, by the way, isn't turning me into MASH from the inside out, and I'll need to reschedule that. And that was a bit of a bummer because I had already waited almost 2 months for that appointment. Oh, a fourth good thing. I hit over 10,000 downloads on the podcast and have 20 Patreons. And I know that this is small potatoes for most creators, but it is huge to me. And I thank you all for your support. It means the world to me. Okay, so no farmer's market this week, and at least not today. The last few times I've been to the Manassas farmer's market has been way too crowded for me. And the Warrington farmer's market was a little too far to drive this morning because I had to get Ladybug's prescription filled at Costco. Man, this is a very interesting podcast today. And Costco was madness. I mean, I actually totally know not to do shopping at Costco on a Saturday morning around here, but I was just running into the pharmacy. Anyway, probably farmer's market tomorrow and get a case of peaches and a case of tomatoes and maybe a case of hot peppers. Just before Ben left on his work trip, he made this hot honey that turned out really good, so I got some little bottles so we can make a whole batch. I also would like to make a batch of Bloody Mary mix using a recipe from a friend who did not survive the painful isolation of this pandemic. He was the first of 3 so far of creative, brilliant, and loving friends who have not been able to survive the part of the last few years that cut people off from their friends and family and support systems and creative outlets. I don't have all the answers, my friends. I don't even have all the questions. I don't know how to fix the collective sadness that a lot of us have felt or are feeling because of the incredible losses. But I do know that I've been lucky enough to reach out my hand and find another hand, lots of other hands, friends' hands and family hands and strangers' hands and paws even. And I hope that you'll do the same if you find yourself slipping into a dark place. Okay, how about the food holidays for this week? I'm ready for them because I did a quick inventory of what I ate this week, and it was 4 nights of macaroni and cheese, 1 breakfast of French toast, and 1 night of pizza that burned my mouth. Today is National Lemonade Day, and I cannot tell you a time when I saw some kid with a lemonade stand in my neighborhood, but I do have a family that sells fresh coconuts at least once a week down the street. It's also Chocolate Pecan Pie Day, which I think is probably a delicious pie, but it seems like it's more of a fall-winter pie, don't you think? It's also Bacon Lovers Day, and there's a farm store in our area, Messick's, which also has frozen custard, that has a bacon sale where you can buy something like 20 pounds of bacon at a time. I haven't done that yet, though. Maybe this winter. In non-food holidays, it is also World Mosquito Day, and I think I've told you a few times that anything that kills mosquitoes, like a spray, will kill pollinators, so don't do it. Instead, make sure you keep your grass cut short in the summer and keep it dry. Do not overwater. And do not allow for any standing water. Mosquito larvae can live and reproduce in as little as a teaspoon of standing water. If you have a pond or damp areas in your yard, you can get these things called mosquito bits, and you can get them at any hardware store or at Amazon. And you just sprinkle them around, and they're all natural, and they eliminate the larvae, which of course eliminates the mosquitoes. And I tell you all of this because it's also World Honeybee Day. Now, honeybees are important because honey is awesome, but solitary bees such as mason bees and sweat bees and bumblebees actually do a much better job at pollinating our crops. They just don't have that whole honey side hustle. Big Pecan clearly is not giving up this week because tomorrow is Pecan Torte Day. Sunday is also Joe Strummer's birthday. And while I don't usually mention celebrity birthdays, I wanted to share that with you because when Joe Strummer died, I was really devastated. Maybe because The Clash and Joe Strummer and all his bands were such a big part of my college and post-collegiate experience. Anyway, listen to some of his music on Sunday. Maybe I'll make a playlist for you. Monday, the 22nd of August is Eat a Peach Day, and that is absolutely the right month for peach eating here in the United States. It is also Surgical Oncologist Day, and I can tell you mine is top-notch, and went to West Point with my beloved brother-in-law. They were in the same class, and I sure hope he survived going to Disney in August for his birthday last week. It's also Take Your Cat to the Vet Day. And I'm not sure if I told you, but I've been doing this side hustle of helping one of my besties, who happens to be the animal's vet, with the social media stuff for his new vet practice. But when I was first diagnosed with cancer, he said he wanted to be part of my care team and asked that he be given access to the surgical oncologist as a consultant. It may seem kind of weird, but it was a great comfort to me. Anyway, make sure your cats are up to date on their vet visits. You'll never know when you need your vet to consult with your cancer surgery. It's also Contact Lens Day, and those are not for eating, although I suppose you could eat them because they're really kind of small and, you probably would digest them. I don't know, but I don't recommend it. Tuesday the 23rd is Sponge Cake Day, and I honestly find sponge cake to be a bit dry despite it being called sponge cake. I guess if it's a dry sponge, it's dry. It's also International Blind Dog Day, and Ladybug is hoping she gets a bunch of special treats at mealtime to celebrate. Maybe she'll get a Cuban sandwich because it's also Cuban Sandwich Day. Wednesday is Peach Pie Day. Again, a good day and a good month for peach-related things. Now, I don't want to alarm anyone, but one of my calendars says that it is Waffle Day, and the other calendar doesn't mention it. So I think we should err on the side of caution and definitely celebrate Waffle Day. It is also National Knife Day, and that's for kitchen knives. And I'm going to come right out and say you should not work with dull or cheap knives. But if you sharpen your knives, then just be really careful. Like, remember that you sharpened the knife and let everyone else who might use those knives know that you sharpened them. Thursday, the 25th of August, is Whiskey Sour Day, and I am not a fan of whiskey, so I might just sub in some Mango Pepsi because I do like Mango Pepsi a lot. It is, interestingly enough, Secondhand Wardrobe Day, and one of those things that I think we've all learned over the course of the last few years of only having to mostly dress from the top down or from the bottom up is that we do not need all of the clothes that we have. Fast fashion has taken a terrible toll on our environment, not to mention on the health and safety of people outside of our comfortable middle-class existence. You really don't want to know, although you probably should, how people are treated in Sri Lanka and Thailand and China, who are churning out all of those H&M tops that go for $4.99 and those Shein hauls that you see on TikTok. It's deplorable. Anywho, Friday is Cherry Popsicle Day, and if you listen to me and Jen G on the Agenda podcast, you know we love our ice cream bars and popsicles, and we especially love those Johnny Pops, although I am not sure that they have a cherry one yet. But here's the thing, the best day of all, well, one of the best days is today, and it is National Dog Day. Yay! How will you celebrate? I want you to spend all week telling me about your doggies and what your plan is to celebrate with them. Saturday is Pot de Creme Day, which is really just a fancy way of saying really, really rich pudding. And it's also Banana Lovers Day, and I absolutely count myself among those who love bananas. In addition, it is National Bat Night. And remember what I told you about ways to control mosquitoes? I left the best for last because bats can eat up to 1,000 mosquitoes a night. I love bananas, and I love bats. Okay, everyone. Thanks for hanging in with me for another week. Please keep rating and liking the podcast and sign up for the Patreon for extra surprises in your mail, in your email, and in your mail. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there are no ads on this podcast. And it's definitely time to buy a carton of peaches and either freeze or can for the winter. Also, time to start thinking about whether you're going to plant some lettuce for a fall harvest. And one final thing to remember, my friends. People don't fake being depressed. They fake being okay. Check on your friends, your family, and keep passing the open windows. See you next week.